fast-moving developments in Libya as the situation continues to unfold minute by minute. Residents in the capital of Tripoli say the embattled regime of Muammar Gadhafi is now arming civilian supporters to set up checkpoints and eliminate dissent. NBC News 2 foreign correspondent Richard Engel is live for us in Benghazi, Libya. Richard, good to see you. You hear this? You hear that they're arming civilians? Go ahead.
Yes, witnesses in Tripoli say that after Gadhafi's speech yesterday, that the forces loyal to Gadhafi, the military that he has left, are giving out weapons to small groups of civilians. Any 3 or 4 people can come up, get a truckload of weapons, and start patrolling the city. This after Gadhafi, speaking from the ramparts of Old Tripoli yesterday, promised to arm the tribes, arm the people. He has seen massive defections within his organized military, so he has now turned to the people, creating a people's army.
You see this day to day seemingly get worse, and it's dependent on whether or not he has those supporters to carry out his orders. How do you see this playing out in the next few days?
Gadhafi has proven to have more control of Tripoli than the opposition here in Benghazi seemed to have expected. The opposition has taken over from Benghazi back to the coast of Egypt, but there is a still quite large swath of this country from Tripoli to Benghazi and to the south that is still fairly firmly under the control of Gadhafi himself. There has been some fighting on the outskirts of Tripoli in the town of Misrata. There has been heavy fighting there in the last 24 hours. That area is still disputed. But if the opposition thought that this was just going to be an easy march and they felt that they had the momentum, and people here certainly did feel that the last few days ago, I think that feeling may be dissipating, and it looks like it's going to be a longer fight than expected.
And Richard, as you've been covering the speeches that Muammar Gadhafi has been giving, just rambling, bizarre, the makings of a madman. How do you see this, his power playing out in the weeks to come? What is he likely to do? What's the worst case scenario?
I think what he's doing right now is what we're going to see an expansion of over the next several days, weeks, if it lasts that long. Gadhafi has lost his mainstream supporters. A lot of the embassies internationally have defected. A lot of the organized members of the armed forces, the senior command, they have also defected. What he has left is a base of tribal support around Libya and to the west, to the east a little bit, and to the south. And he's going to be arming these core loyalists. He's going to be continue to use mercenaries and hope that his loyalists, his mercenaries, and his fellow tribesmen can do what his army proved unwilling to do, which is to continue to fight this rebellion.
So what needs to happen there on the ground to get Gadhafi out? Because he seems to be holding on pretty well.
He does seem to be holding on well, and there's a logistical challenge here. From where I am in Benghazi all the way back to Egypt, there is open road, and it is a consolidated piece of territory in the rebel hands. But from here to Tripoli, there's roughly 600 to 700 miles of desert and desert highway that are controlled by small tribes that are loyal to Gadhafi because of family ties, and they're unlikely to be convinced to join this rebellion under any cost. So it's going to be very difficult to consolidate forces and drive them toward Tripoli itself. So what the rebels have been doing is trying to reach over this tribal belt of loyalty for Gadhafi and try to sow dissent within the outskirts of Tripoli itself. But that's been difficult to do.
Richard, do you know what the rebels want, if they have any motivation, and what their end goal is?
Their end goal is to have a state that is more like regular states in the world. Gadhafi created Libya as a cult of personality. He created it around his green book. Technically, Libya is not even a country like everyone else. It's not a republic. It is a jamahariya, which is an invented word that Gadhafi made up, which means People's Republic. He combined the two words of people and republic, put them together, and invented a style of government. It is for a while, Gadhafi was banning the use of foreign words. You couldn't say taxi, for example. In any country around the world, a taxi is just a taxi, T-A-X-I. But no, in here you had to use the Arabic, very clunky phrase, Sayyara Umumiya, which means rented vehicle. So Gadhafi has turned this country into a place like no other in the world. And people here say they just want to have a regular state, a constitution that is not just some sort of fictitious creation of Muammar Gadhafi, and have regular international relations with their neighbors.
Richard, week after week, you've been doing unbelievable reporting there. We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.